All right, everybody, buckle up, because the Grunge Bible Podcast is officially back.
Time to tuck in.
It is the first episode of October. This is episode 237. My name is Ethan Shalloway. I'm joined by Chris Salona, as usual, your host of the Grunge Bible Podcast. And you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful fall day. We are in this sweet spot. We love September. It may be our favorite. We had to wake up Billy Joe or whatever from Green Day,
all that stuff.
Yeah. So, but now we're in October, and Chris, like, the weather is cooling down. The leaves are, they're turning orange. They're falling, and man, I'm reminded every year this is my favorite season for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's definitely up there for me. It's kind of funny too, because at least around here, September was pretty hot, and then as soon as the calendar flipped to October, like, it dipped below 50 degrees for the first time overnight. And, we're hitting that 45 in the morning, and it still gets up to 70 in the afternoon, which is great. So this is exactly what we need. I don't have to run my air conditioning. I don't have to put the heat on. This is we're riding the line right here, and it feels pretty good. We are recording this on October the 3rd. This episode will come out on October the 6th. So time's moving, man.
Yeah, it's going really well. So obviously we have a great environment going on outside, but how's your environment, Chris? How's the Chris Salona life going?
Oh man, fucking busy, dude. There's so much going on.
A lot of activities planned during September and October.
Yeah, 100%. So as you've been following along, we are now coming to you 1 year older officially. We recorded the last episode prior to our birthdays. This is the first one of me being 29 and you being 31. Had a good birthday weekend. It was super busy though. I went to the Boston College football game, and then I did the kayak race with the boys on my birthday. That was pretty good. Got a little banged up from it, for a lot of different reasons, from the kayaking and from the drinking. But it was a great time. It's always an absolute blast. I'm just really blessed with some unbelievably good friends and family that, make every week, every weekend good. But I think particularly the birthday, it was really, really solid. I'm feeling really grateful for all that. And, one thing right into the next, we went from, the birthday zone to the meet prep zone. So I have, one more training session before my weightlifting meet, which will be October the 5th, the day before this episode comes out. So I go in tonight to just kind of do some easy stuff and get primed, and try to, tuck in early tonight and be responsible. I'll go up and watch some of my training partners tomorrow, and then do the real thing on Sunday. And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm hitting, a lot of different weights with a lot of confidence, and I feel really secure right now. So I'm excited.
Good. I have two questions for you. One, what's the caffeine intake going to be like on Sunday? And two, what song are we going to be listening to on the drive there?
Oh, dude. Well, so
this is important. This is different. This is a different thing.
It is different. So first off, the caffeine intake, I will do one coffee here in the morning at home. And then I'm going to bring two energy drinks. I'm going to try to find some 0-cal energy drinks that have 200 milligrams in a can. I'll take the first one, but as I'm warming up, in the back room, and then I'll have the second one on standby if I need it in between the snatch and the clean and jerk. So I'll have some food and some Zyn as well, obviously, because that's an important part of it. The other caveat in terms of the second question, the meet is about an hour away from me, and I compete at 2. And I have to be there at noon to weigh in. So I'll be in transit, 10:30, 11 o'clock or so. A little too early to really get in the zone. And that's something that I've struggled with in some of my prior competitions, is you just wake up and you get so jacked up too early. And you can't hold that for 4 hours. I've tried and you just can't. So I'm going to try to keep it low key. And then, once I get there, I'm not a headphones guy, when I warm up or anything anymore. So I think I just like to kind of take in the environment, and that kind of gets me set. But, I'll probably just listen to my playlist of songs that I've been listening to lately. Nothing super, super crazy, because it's just too early in the day to, to break out the Rusty Cages of the world, or the Searching with My Good Eyes Closed.
Room 1,000.
Yeah,
years.
Exactly. So, and it works out too. I can do my normal thing. It's not going to be a question of whether I make weight or not. I'm in a good spot for that. So I don't have to worry about that. I can do my normal stuff. I can eat as I normally would and whatnot. So just trying to keep all of that consistent.
There you go. That's awesome. Well, we'll be following along. I'll be following along and excited to hear the results. So.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. It'll be good. The back-to-back weekends that I miss NFL Sunday, but they're both for, I don't think twice about missing it for a kayak race or for the weightlifting meet. So,
yeah,
it's a necessary.
I mean,
evil.
It's getting a little bit out of hand. Football on Monday, Thursday, Saturday,
every
Sunday.
day, man.
I mean, there's Friday games. I mean, it really is it is a quick turnaround, and I'm glad that I'm not a college football guy like some people. Like there's some people that I mean your Saturdays and Sundays are like ruined as far as like doing family events. Like you're gonna want to sacrifice for the football like I'm just glad that I'm not like that. I think Sunday I am, but Saturday I'm like it's okay. I don't need to watch everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I, on the other hand, like I've never really been a big college football fan until like the last couple of years. Like part of what I do for work, like I have to keep up with like what's going on in the college football world as a part of my job, which is really strange. But I've gotten into it a little bit more, and like I do enjoy it, but it's not like I'm not like tethered to the couch on a Saturday. Like, I'd rather watch the pros than college football, but it's always fun. There's always something on, if you have like an hour at home, you just want to check in on the brain trust and see what's going on. So,
don't get me wrong. Good. I still watch.
Oh, 100%.
I still tune in.
Love me or hate me, you're watching.
Yeah. Like
Pete Weber.
No doubt. Yeah. Like, I mean, last week Penn State had a close one against Oregon, and I'm watching it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, I come here a downtrodden man to this recording, but, Major League Baseball playoffs are in full swing right now. And
just when you need it most.
Just when you need it most, man. My Red Sox went down in the third game last night. And, I'm feeling, I kind of figured it was coming.
Feeling Minnesota, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't think I'm looking California either.
Yeah,
I think I'm looking like I'm looking Nebraska and feeling Minnesota right now. Yeah,
it's tough. The playoffs are such a high, and like I compare it to competing at a high level where it's like you going in, anything is possible. The excitement is as high as it can get, and only one team comes out on top, and every other team is left like. Yeah, I always want more, and it's the ride of sports, and baseball's such a long season too. So for it to be gone in 3 days, and I'm sure after that first game, the W was like, we can do this.
Yeah, game 2 was the one if they were going to do it. I mean, Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, he managed the bullpen so aggressively in game 2, and pretty much, I think he used 7 pitchers in game 2. And they had the chance to win. They don't make the plays that they need to, but that's baseball. It's such a, to quote, I forget who it was, but the Ken Burns baseball, the documentary, there's this one guy that they interviewed. They're like, baseball is like an entirely different sport from so many other sports, because you can take the best team in the league and that a third of the time they're going to lose. You could take the worst team in the league and that a third of the time they're going to win. And the real battle is over that middle third, and the good teams separate from the bad. And honestly, dude, like this baseball season, it's still going on because of playoffs. But like so many of my friends have like started to get into baseball more and more, and it's just so fun because it's on every night, and like you can always check in with your fellas, and see if the boys are watching the game, and you chat about it. And it's just, that's why I like sports. It's just a good communal thing to do. So
how can you not be romantic about baseball? How can you not be
romantic about this stuff,
right? Like I definitely past couple of years, the viewership has gone up in my life. But it's just one of those, it's the only sports, one of those sports, they got the day games, they got stuff, you just put it on the background, you're walking around, you're doing stuff at your house, and all of a sudden you see it's an important at bat, so you stop, you stand there, you watch the at bat, you have a little fist pump if it goes well, if it doesn't, you go, damn, and you walk away, and you come back when you need it. And I love the come and go of the sport, like it.
And that's the comforting thing too, man.
Like it's
just a way to connect with people, and it's comforting. And like even this year, like the Red Sox had a decent season. They made the playoffs for the first time since 2021. But baseball has always been something that I've felt close with my family through. And this year, the Red Sox clinched a playoff spot. The last Friday of the season, they hit a walk-off to beat the Detroit Tigers and earn a spot in the playoffs. And like, I was over with visiting my grandparents at the time, and I watched the game with them. And like, I grew up, watching ball with my grandpa, and just, to sit there and watch the game with him and watch them clinch. Like, he's 89 years old, so you never know how many more autumns you can get with him. So that was, I definitely took like a mental picture of that, just sitting in the living room watching them, win on a walk-off and make the playoffs. So
yeah.
Just little things like that, that's what really matters, more so than the wins and losses. But right. It was a good year, but now, just when you need it most,
it's taken away.
It's taken away. Yeah. But that's life, man. That's how it goes. So that's how I'm doing. Long-winded version. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm
Nice.
doing solid. Work's been good. Just staying busy. I've been playing a lot of drums. Not like
Nice.
a lot, but I've been playing a little bit consistently each day. So
Yeah.
I've been playing some golf, and it's good. I'm just making a point to do the things I like to do, which is I really
Simple
enjoy
as
playing the
that.
drums, and I don't get to do it. I haven't been able to do that very much, so I'm back playing along to some of my favorite songs and albums, and like just trying to catch up. I'm trying to keep up with the chops and the speed of things, but like
Keeping up with the Joneses.
yeah. So like I got once I get that back a little bit more, I'll be happier. But it's going well. Opposite of you, like the Phillies. First pitch is Saturday
They're
at
waiting.
6:38. Yeah. They got LA.
Dodgers coming to town.
Yep, it's at home. So there's a lot of excitement because there's no games. We have all the we lost our ace Wheeler, which is
That
about a
stinks.
month ago. Yeah. It really it really sucks. Our pitching is good right now. I just gotta hopefully the bats are hot.
Yeah.
They were pretty hot for most of the season coming in, but you always get a little worried. They actually had an inter squad practice yesterday that
I saw that.
everybody, people were allowed to come to and whatnot. And I thought it was a great idea. Like,
That's super
I guess
cool.
it's like training camp, obviously. Like people go and watch like all the Eagles and whatnot, but like having it like at a pivotal time of year to like right before, that's just such a good idea to get everybody there and just like really get the excitement going. Cause like I said, anything is possible right now. There's zeros in the win column and zeros in the loss column,
Yep.
So pretty excited to be following along.
How can you not be romantic about it?
Chiefs got their mojo back a little bit last week, getting Xavier Worthy back, and Rice is coming back. So like optimism is back for the football season. So, yeah, I'm doing well. Got a big weekend, Oktoberfest at my brother's, and then next weekend I'm gonna see some shows. I'm pretty pumped about. I think 2, and
Cool.
Gonna go into the city, and then obviously watch hopefully the Phillies. They could potentially, 4 games will end on Thursday, but hopefully there's a Saturday game next week. Well, unless we sweep, but like,
Right.
yeah, hopefully I'll be in the city for the game. Not at the park, but at one of our taverns that we like to watch the games at. So yeah, so a busy time, but a lot of good stuff, and just trying to bolster the community aspect of the life.
Yeah,
keep
dude.
it rolling.
Yeah,
Which we're good at. We're very good
watering
at
those gardens. Yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty solid, dude. Happy to hear
It's good.
Yeah, man.
But today we get to talk about Badmotorfinger.
Yes, we
Again.
do. It's that time of year again.
It's that time of
Badmotorfinger's
year.
turning 34 this year on October the 8th, which is a Wednesday. So we're going to be commemorating that. We've certainly done an exhaustive album review of that. I'm trying to find which episode that was. That was episode number 186, which we did this time last year, October 14th, it came out. So if you want the exhaustive version, song by song background, that's the one you got to turn to, episode number 186. You can go back and listen to that. But it's such a good album that, these things, we got to talk about it every year. And there's no better time than the anniversary to have some chat about it, because it's still in the heavy rotation. It's not going anywhere.
It's true. It stood the test of time, and it may be even getting better. Like age.
It
like
might
fine
be,
wine.
yeah. I think there's a really good chance that it is getting better. So
we'll get into that a little bit more. But before we do, obviously we have some people to thank.
Yeah, we do.
Today I want to start by thanking our producer Drew McFadden.
Yes.
We usually tag him at the end of the episode, but I want to thank
we're
Drew.
gonna lead with him.
Yeah, I'm going to lead with Drew this time because as you guys see us recording and on the screen, but Drew is in the background all the time. He's edited every pod that we've done. He does a great job. He gets it to us on time most of the time.
All the time, man.
All the time. And he's a trooper. So Drew, if you're out there listening, thank you. And we'd love to have you on sometime soon. We got to get him back in the. We got to get his
we need
update
another
on him.
We need another Grunge Bible wine night with Drew. I think that's in the mix. It's been a while since we've
Drew
done
McFadden
that,
Show episode 4 or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to get that going. Thank you, Drew. Love you, man. Really appreciate everything that you do. And we also appreciate everything everybody does to support us financially. So we have a Patreon linked in the show notes. You can join at $2, $5, or $10 a month, or you can choose your own payment plan. Give more, give less, give way more, give way less. You can give a penny, give $100. We'll take it all. It's really, really great. We also have merchandise linked in the show notes as well. And we do have some movement here in the top level, Ethan. It's happened again. So it's a 2-horse race between the tag team of Abraham and Frank and the Cracker Man going head to head, and this has gone on for a few months now. And Abraham and Frank were at the top, and then the Cracker Man came in like way out of nowhere and just screamed to the front of the pack. And then Abraham and Frank quickly overtook. But then the Cracker Man answered, and there was a little bit of radio silence for about a week or two. But I can proudly say now that Abraham and Frank are back in the front, and we got an email
Top
from
dogs
them.
Again.
Yeah, we got an email with this graphic here, a little autumnal collage of these two, and it says, "Hi, Chris and Ethan. We are taking our title back." Signed Abraham and Frank. So that's huge. They're at the front again. They're looking great, honestly. Abraham and Frank. It looks like they're getting on pretty well. So leading the pack once again, Abraham and Frank, followed by the Cracker Man, as we've mentioned. And the rest of the top tier is Looking California, Feeling Minnesota, Heidi in Chains, Grits Likes Pasta. Let's see. I don't have this list sorted the correct way. Give me a second. A rare flub here. I'm committing an error just like the Red Sox did all
E1.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go. Let's see. Continuing on, we've got Carlene Salona, Jamie Lynn, Doug Endy, What the Fuck is Up, Denny's, Nikki Six, Black Hole Sean, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Eddie Vedder Got Me Through My Second Divorce, Sherry Matthews, Go To John, Russell, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, The Michael Dooley Project, A Bit Dusty, Ultra Mega OK. And that is the end of the list. Grits likes pasta as well. I can't remember if I said that or not. And we also received a message that came from the Cracker Man in relation to last episode. And I'm just going to read it here. Cracker Man wrote in after episode 236 and said, "Hello, Grunge Bible friends. Just wanted to say I really enjoyed the latest episode 236. I also got a huge laugh out of Ethan saying that the Smells Like Teen Spirit video blew up the internet. What internet? In 1991, we had to wait for MTV or some other music channel to show a video. Damn it, Ethan, we didn't even have mobile phones back then. Okay, they did exist, but no one could afford them. Anyways, keep up the great work. I enjoy every episode."
That's hilarious. You got me.
A rare faux pas from Ethan Shalloway.
I don't know about rare, but it's another faux pas by me. Yeah,
it happens. You put the ball in play and crazy things can happen.
This is what happens when you weren't there. You start speaking out your ass.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's why you don't lie. When you lie,
that's
why you don't lie.
We don't lie anymore. You're right, dude.
You get caught up at a party and someone says, "Have you heard that new song?" And you say, "Yeah." All of a sudden, you're supposed to give your opinion on it, and you gotta just be like, it was very ambitious, stuff like that.
Yep. Dude, songs, albums, and for me, it happens all the time with movies. They're like, "Oh, have you seen
movies.
Like, I don't know.
Thank God people don't ask me if I read books anymore.
I was just gonna say books. Like I'd be screwed, man.
Be cooked.
Yeah, it would be really, really bad. So, that's why we're honest around here. So,
honest
E1,
mistake.
So we had an E1 on the Patreon list, and then we had an E3.
That's funny. Man, 2 errors. Though. Hopefully we can come back.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can have a clean rest of the game. It's early. So
you can rally. Yeah, a lot of ball left. LBL.
Yeah, we'll settle in here. So with that, I think we can get into some This Day in Music. It's a fairly light list in terms of things going on. But
sometimes it's nice to have a short list, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely welcome. So we'll start in 1956, and on this day in 1956, the king is back. Elvis Presley released "Love Me Tender," which was the title song to his first major motion picture. And of course, because it's the king, it did go on to hit number one on the charts.
Obviously.
And this was his fifth number one hit. "Love Me Tender." I cannot say that I'm familiar with this song, but I'm certain that it was worthy of the number one spot on the charts back in 1956. I don't know what it was competing against at the time, but kind of an unfair fight. You know, if you were in the mid 50s trying to go up against Elvis, can't really do it. You know, it's tough.
Not easy. Elvis, always on top, which I love to hear. All right, moving ahead to a more somber note, in 2020, Edward Van Halen passed away, and very sad, age 65. A lot of people revere him as one of the best guitarists. What he did was, very unique, never been done before, sounds you never heard. I mean, obviously Eruption, Hot for Teachers type stuff, and I remember I was talking to Andy about what song was it? One of the songs that he used to play it, and he like could never get it right. He could never get it to sound like Eddie, you know. And he's like, I don't know what, something about it. Like I just can't. You know, I'm playing it correctly. I'm playing it the way it's supposed to be. And then there was he watched a video about someone talking about it, and it's like, yeah, it's like really very subtle thing that Eddie did that no one, like, it's just not talked about, but he would like tuned
down one string, right? Just a little bit,
just very slightly, not a full, you cannot move into the next note, but like just a slight bit and like all of a sudden it made it sound exactly like it, and you're just like, holy cow. And so I love when musicians, like, they do those little things that are not talked about or not known. It's just like, oh yeah, like I wanted to sound a little bit different, and you know, and we'll get into that a little bit more with Soundgarden, because they did a lot of different tuning. But like, Eddie was the king for, you know, he held the crown for a long time. Probably still does. I don't know.
Definitely for that.
There's so many different
music,
genres.
Yeah. I don't think he has many peers when it comes to like that style of music. But that's a really good point, because there's like any type of art or creation, like there's parallels in that, where it's like you can have like, you know, you can have note for note, you know what to play, you can have the correct gear. Like I think about like cooking, for example, you can have the ingredients, you can have the process like right in front of you, but like there's that human element that I think there's something that the greats bring to the table that separates them from people who are trying to emulate it. And it is interesting, you know, like you follow the same exact formula, but you're going to get a different outcome. And there's just like something in like the DNA of that creator, of that artist, that just makes it different and makes it special and makes it one of one. And you know, we're definitely blessed in the genre that we usually spend a lot of time covering, that there's, you know, everywhere you look there's people like that, and Eddie Van Halen was certainly like that in terms of the, you know, often imitated but never duplicated type kind of thing.
The song was running with the Devil.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like, it's just very subtle, and
that was probably the first Van Halen song that like I was cognizant of, that I was like, this is fucking cool. I mean, and how many like hundreds of thousands of like teenagers in the 80s like heard Van Halen for the first time, and like, you know, developed this sort of like blood oath to that type of music, you know? Like I feel like in the same way that like there's all these stories of like, you know, somebody's older brother giving them Nevermind in 1991 or 1992. Like I feel like some of the Van Halen albums, the first 3 or 4, like there's so many stories of that, where it's like, you think you know music, like here's Van Halen, like give this a whirl, like your hair is going to fall off of your head after you listen to this. So that's what we love, dude. It fires us up.
Yeah, so rest in peace, Eddie Vedder. 5 years since he passed away. Eddie Van
Halen,
E3. Shit. Oh, man. Yeah.
It doesn't get any Eddie Vedder than this.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. So that wraps up This Day in Music. We just had 2 things to hit on.
That's it.
Because, and you know, as we talked about, there's a ton of things happening during this time, such as the topic. Badmotorfinger came out on October 8th in 1991. And it was originally scheduled for September 24th in 1991, which would have been the same day as Nevermind the Nirvana album, and but they had some problems, which we'll get into. So this, obviously, we talked about all the albums that are coming out, and like just as a whole, you know, you had 10 come out like
in
6
August.
weeks, 6 weeks before this, and you had Nevermind, and then Badmotorfinger comes out, and talk about a run. I mean, I just want to like say that the competitive spirit and competitive nature of the music scene back then definitely elevated all of these groups, and there's no, like, it just was such a great time for music to be coming out. Like, there's like, I don't know, probably up close lens now with the music coming out, and you can't really tell exactly, but it just doesn't seem like the group of bands or artists are like competing in the same genre, right? Or the same like space. Like they're being unique and doing like slightly different things. So there's kind of room for everybody to play at the playground. But I feel like back then it was like, they were really, you know, it was a lot more aggressive for records, like to get seen and heard by record labels. There's more record labels now. There's more people taking shot on smaller artists. There's easier ways to do it. So back then it was very important that that you were kind of, you know, filling certain sounds or just, you know, getting to the front of the line when it comes to how your music was being you know, sent out to the world. As you said, as we were corrected, there was no internet back then. So like it was much harder, and you know, you had to send tapes, you had to send all this stuff. So like the fact that these artists were all going at it at the same time, I think really pushed them to not only perfect their craft, but perfect, like, you know, within like kind of like guidelines of like stuff that, you know, other records or they wanted to do, and you had like really, I don't know, more flushed out genre sounding stuff, which we don't love the word genre around here, but like,
right.
You know, at the same time, you know, it's nice having a bunch of bands play kind of stuff that you like to hear.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because like, I totally agree. Like there were seemingly many fewer paths to discovering music. Like, for example, there was only one MTV channel, like, so, you know, whatever was playing on MTV, people were watching. It's not like you could go to the YouTube channel and check things out, or VH1. Exactly. So like by that point, like it was, you know, more competitive, I would imagine, but there were also a lot of people that were trying to make music like this. So like within that style, you know, there were a lot of places where you could give your attention to, you know, there were a lot of records that you could take your $10 or $15 in exchange for, you know, and pick up a copy of that record. You know, it was such a creatively fruitful time period, especially in the Pacific Northwest, you know, between 1990 and 1994, really. And it is crazy to think about, you know, just looking back, if these had come out on the same day, you know, Nevermind and Badmotorfinger. And there's always been a little bit of confusion about this date, insofar as Soundgarden themselves have in the past erroneously commemorated Badmotorfinger on September 24th, only to realize that it was pushed back. Yeah, it's an E5 on Kim. And Kim's usually, you know, he's as sure-handed as they come out there. So, you know, if Kim Thiel is not immune, you know, we're certainly not immune to making some errors. But the principal reason why this was held back is the original album packaging, kind of, I suppose, for lack of a better term, had a different colorway, basically. So it was the same album cover, you know, with like that like cyclone looking logo with Soundgarden over top of it. But the original pressing had more of like a pastel color, which I kind of like. It's kind of interesting.
Of course,
just
now
like
we're like,
yeah,
awesome.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, and then the backside of it was certainly a little different as well. But the band was pretty dissatisfied with it, and subsequently, you know, once they realized their error and they shared the story, Soundgarden said, however, when the album jackets were printed, the band was super disappointed with the graphic design and layout. The pastel color selection resembled Sweet Tarts candy, chalk, or children's chewable vitamins. The president of A&M Records, who released Badmotorfinger, agreed and supported us by having the cover redone by their art department, with Kim Thiel overseeing it. The initial print run was sent to markets where fewer heavy rock records were sold. So their post goes on to say, "Congratulations to Brazil on possessing rare collectible versions. The album release was subsequently pushed back to October the 8th. So very cool that the you know, the label obviously invested a lot of money into, you know, pressing these, you know, with the pastel colors on it, and, you know, having the bands back. We're like, hey, like, if you're not satisfied with this, like, we can change it. So I mean, you figure like September 24th to October 3rd is like that's like a 10-day difference. So like they were able to get this thing turned around pretty quickly, and do something artistically that, you know, the band would be happy with. And that's how we ended up getting the October 8th, excuse me, not October 3rd, E1. It's about a 2-week difference. I got the yips. Read my lips.
Got the yips.
But yeah, I mean, it's such a quick turnaround to like go back to the drawing board from, you know, a packaging perspective and, you know, push this thing through. So that would be a hell of a collectible, though, to have the pastel colored version. Which
I just looked it up, and on eBay it looks like you can buy it for $186 before delivery. Delivery would be $25, about $210.
Is that a CD or is that a record?
It looks like a vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, first vinyl.
Interesting. But
so yeah, maybe the CDs.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I mean, it looks really cool now, obviously, because you see it one way for so long.
Yeah, and like from a perspective of coincidence, it would be really cool if they shared a day. But I'm happy that Badmotorfinger has its own day on the calendar. And even like from a perspective of running the page, like I don't want to have to like spend half my time commemorating something that's not Badmotorfinger. Like I want to focus on Badmotorfinger. So, you know, thankfully we've got October the 8th to do it. And this, you know, the logo that they chose for Badmotorfinger pretty much became like their logo, you know, even with like the font of Soundgarden on the top and like that weird cyclone thing with like the Illuminati triangle in the middle that says
electric wheel.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool. And you know, I don't know the full story of like what that necessarily means, that logo, but you know, when you have something, you take it and you run with it. And you know, a lot of bands end up doing that, you know, with what their first big release that's successful, you know, their logos or their fonts, you know.
I think I heard a quote, and it said that it was just a label in general.
Interesting.
Just like experience in general.
Experience, as just like Never the Machine forever on
that was a joke.
Down on the upside. Yeah, exactly.
That was a joke.
Oh yeah.
It's just a label that they, you know, it's whatever you want it to be. It looks like a table saw, kind of. That's what I was saying.
It definitely gives table saw vibes. Like you don't want to get too close to this logo. Like you might.
It looks like it's spinning.
Yeah, like you might lose something of yourself, but then you gain it back by listening to this absolutely kick-ass record. And you know, as far as this podcast goes, you know, Badmotorfinger's got to be in the top in terms of time we've spent talking about one particular album, but there's a good reason for it. I know, as I've said in the past, like when I got into Soundgarden, you know, obviously it was through Black Hole Sun, and because of that, you go to Super Unknown. But then, you know, you go backwards to Badmotorfinger, and you also go forward to Down on the Upside, King Animal, and so on and so forth, and even further back to the 80s with, you know, Louder Than Love and whatnot. But this one really, like, once I started discovering and spending time with Badmotorfinger, I was like, all right, like, I'm pretty confident in saying that I'm going to be a Soundgarden fan for the rest of my life. And I think, like, the specific uses that this album has in my life, you know, is never going to go away. Like it's so heavy, and I think it's really where they solidified like what exactly Soundgarden is. Of course, this was also the first record that they did with what would end up becoming their most enduring lineup with Ben Shepherd on bass. This was the first album that didn't feature Hiro Yamamoto and subsequently did feature Ben Shepherd, and I think he brings so much to these recordings and certainly so much to their live element. But you know, you can really feel the band hitting the ground running with that new lineup and putting together these songs, like super innovative, in a similar vein to what we were talking about with Eddie Van Halen. Like there weren't really too many bands or musicians that were making stuff that sounded like this at the time. So anytime somebody pushes the envelope and, you know, creates something that's never been heard before, it's going to stick around in our minds for a long time.
Yeah, there was, you know, you listen to it, and I think they've you know, it's been documented how they went a little bit more collaborative and creative, and they did things that, you know, were not what they hadn't done before, you know, and like that was like different tunings, different timings, and you know, they got really psychedelic at times, and as they did even more later, and I find it just, this is kind of like how I picture Soundgarden in a lot of ways, and you know, but listening to the album, just an incredibly ambitious like album. I mean, it's just full of heaters, and like I said, we've talked about this pretty extensively, like the track listing and all the songs, and just how many riffs are in there. Like every song has like 4 different riffs, so you're just like, man, if I could come up with that one riff in this song, I'd be happy. And it's just like a really ambitious, like they went for it, and I I was just thinking about stuff that's coming out now, and like usually like an artist, you know, they get like 3 or 4 really good songs on an album, and they got to fill the album out, say. And not that they're bad songs, but you know, they're just like, oh, like this is as a different, like you could tell they had a different approach when it's like, I'm gonna put all my eggs into this, my single, or a few singles. This song, like this album, like every song felt like it was like, we can't we can't take our foot off the gas. Like we got to keep driving this Badmotorfinger. Like we got to keep doing this. And like every song has just like, has something special. Like I said, the riff, the vocals, the bass, everything is like really unique and creative. And it's cool. Like obviously you get really set on the first 4 songs, but then you get down into them and you start really appreciating everything else the album has to offer.
Yeah. And like, no matter how much time I spend listening to these songs, like there's still, like I still come away just being mystified by some of these parts. Like for example, like I just had Jesus
Good
Christ.
word, mystified.
Yeah. So now you know.
Now you know.
It's us that are getting mystified. Like I just had Jesus Christ Pose playing in my ears right now, and like Matt Cameron's drumming on that is like demonic and so hard driving. And like we've talked shop with some drummers over the years, and I know when we had Eric Lederman on, he's like, dude, like the Jesus Christ Pose drumming from Matt Cameron is like unbelievably difficult to do, let alone to create out of thin air. And it's just you know, once again, like you can pick out something that really blows your mind on every single one of these, whether it's Ben playing like his hair's on fire, whether it's Kim just like attacking the fretboard like a madman, whether it's Matt, as we said, and obviously, you know, you have Chris just flying around all over the place on this. But also, like, you know, it's impossible to talk about Soundgarden, impossible to talk about this record without obviously talking about Chris's vocals, but also his guitar playing. And like when you watch him live on some of these songs, like it's wild to think that he can do both of those things at the same time and do them so effectively. And like the band wouldn't be complete without his guitar work, in the same way that it wouldn't be complete without Kim's guitar work. They were just so complementary of one another. And it's a dynamic that I think is as special as like the vocal dynamic between a Lane Staley and a Jerry Cantrell, for example. They complete one another, like that just sound that comes from both of their guitars, you know, counteracting one another.
Yeah, we don't really get that a ton with the other bands in the genre, as far as, I mean, Kurt played a little bit guitar as well, but it wasn't like there wasn't another guitarist to you know,
like you think about that with Pearl Jam, for example, because like you've got Mike and Stone, but it's like that's a 5-person outfit. You know, Soundgarden's doing this with 4 people, and then obviously, you know, once Eddie started playing, then a lot of times you have 3 guitars going, but it's just different with them. And I just think, you know, kind of in a similar way that like Stone's rhythm and Mike's lead kind of counteract, like, you know, Chris's rhythm was just more aggressive and more stabbing at times, and it complemented Kim's just madman soloing sometimes, you know. And I always think about that, you know, when you watch them live, you know, Chris is just riffing, you know, in front of the mic, and then Kim is just like these wild bursts of sound and all these licks all over the place. Like it's really crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to watch. Every
person plays just I mean, it is a very full sounding album, every song. And then like I brought up, like Ben Shepherd debut album, like, you know, fan of Soundgarden before, you know, gets his dream job, and like brings something to the band that, you know, the bassist. That doesn't always happen where you, like, I mean, people knew the bassist back in the day, but like, you know, the bassist was a big part of it. And,
well, how cool is it too that like this is the first record that he worked with Soundgarden on, and not only did he obviously play bass on all of these tracks, but he has a writing credit on, you know, he wrote the music for Face Pollution and Somewhere, and he wrote the lyrics for Somewhere as well. Like, how about that? Like, you get the bassist coming, and it's like, we're gonna let the bassist write the music and the lyrics to a song. I just think that's unbelievably cool, and they seem to do that really well as they got deeper into their career, where it's like, if somebody has an idea, like, we're gonna roll with it.
I think that was a big point for this album. They wanted to be collaborative, and they wanted to be creative, and I think that they really came together for these songs and was like, all right, let's put our heads together, let's make this album like different, new, and the best we can do, and they succeeded, no doubt.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And we obviously all have our favorites, but like here in 2025, like, are there any songs that you really key in on these days from Badmotorfinger?
I mean, like we talk about a lot. I mean, the top four: Rusty Cage, Outshine Slaves, Jesus Christ Pose.
Yeah,
Awesome, great stuff. I think Mind Riot is, incredible. A ton of, like I said, riffs and just, I guess, earworms, if you will. Like a ton of, it's very complex and crazy. So I've been enjoying listening to that. Searching with My Good Eye. Yeah, this whole album is great. New Damage. I like New Damage.
yeah,
I would go with Mind Riot as like a not quite one of the big five songs, but
yeah.
I was watching the Lollapalooza sets before and was getting into all those craziness of Soundgarden. And honestly, I was watching some of the music videos too. The music videos are just they're just chaotic, and they're just like there's so many,
so chaotic.
They're so chaotic. Like, there's so many cuts, and like it's just flashing, and they're like their bodies are just moving and different. Like they're like on stage, but they're like it's like blurry, and you feel like you're tripping every time that you're watching these. It was almost like I was almost like, geez, like were these hits like back then? This is all the music videos where it's like let's just video ourselves like crashing out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey, it worked, man. It certainly worked. Yeah, I definitely, it's impossible to not be drawn to like the first four, like you said. And for me, I don't think I'll ever love a song from this record more than I love Searching with My Good Eye Closed, especially when they would perform that live. It's just a explosion, when they would open their sets with it very, very frequently. And like, I can only imagine, the feeling that you would get in the crowd. And then you hear the This Is My Good Eye, and the band comes out and they just rip into it. But like, some songs that I think people need to spend more time with, like Face Pollution, certainly. Also Somewhere, Mind Riot, as you said, is such a good song. And then Room 1,000 Years Wide as well. Like, up and down this record, even Drawing Flies, man, Holy Water, like these are,
it's every song right there. Boom.
Yeah, dude, these are just powerhouses.
Yeah, they are. They're all such high tempo. Like it's always a race. I mean, it's always like nonstop. That's why, like I said, it's like an ambitious album. Every song is complex in how it's put together, but every song is like, I mean, it's like you're running a race, you're fighting. It's like you're fighting for your life. I mean, it just doesn't. I just don't feel like bands are going to try to make something like this today. Like it's just so aggressive in like every capacity, and they pull it off extremely well. I think that it did everything I think they achieved everything they wanted to with this album. And bands are not doing this right now. They just I don't think I just like it's just different, right? It's a different approach. These guys, I mean, my coach always said it like, back when I trained, I was fighting for my life. Like, he compares himself. He's like, yeah, these guys, like, they didn't want it like I did. Like, I listened to this music. I'm like, I don't know if artists want it like they wanted it back then. And that goes for like a lot of those bands, not even just in the grunge, but like the way people would embody being an artist, be a rocker, a rock star. Like, I mean, it was their identity. And I think, people found solace in like one identity. I think a lot of people now are trying to be a lot of different things because, that's awesome. You get to enjoy your different, your different, well, I can't speak. You get to enjoy the aspects of your life that you may not get to spend a lot of time with. There's a ton of things I like to do, but these guys were like, rock and roll is everything. And, grunge and the craft, like craziness. And they executed it. So
yeah,
I just get that vibe when I listen to it. I'm just like, this is life or death for them. They were just like, we're gonna make the most badass album. We're gonna call it Badmotorfinger. Like that album cover is not. It's too candy like we want a different. Like everything was just like
up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything was exactly what they envisioned.
Yeah, these guys, man, like they were put on earth to make music together, and like there's some funky dudes with some unbelievably creative ideas, and I'm sure we did it when we went song by song on the episode last year. But I do just want to read one of our favorite quotes of all time from Kim Thile talking about Room 1,000 Years Wide, which is a song that he wrote the lyrics for, and Matt Cameron wrote the music. And Kim said about this song, he said, "I really liked the music to the song and it needed words, and since no one else pursued it, I decided to. It's not really about things that have actually happened to me. It's more about experience in general. I've heard a lot of good ideas from people telling me what it's about. They said it's about God, Satan, Jesus, Satan, both. It's religious. It isn't religious. The truth is, it's just me." I'm telling you, like, the two best, like, between this and Never the Machine Forever, where he's like, it's about a battle between yourself and a lesser defined entity. Yeah. Like, I wish Kim Thile wrote more lyrics, because just to get explanations like that, like, it's not about my experience, it's just about experience in general.
Tomorrow begat tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. 1,000 rooms, 1,000 lies. Like, oh man.
Room 1,000 years wide. Yeah,
these guys were playing by a different set of rules, Ethan.
They were. I mean, that's the abstract. Like, it's almost like I couldn't put that string of words together. Like,
no,
of like being so vague, but so vague and interesting at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's so vague, but like
Ben Shepherd's whole look.
Yeah, like, it's so unbelievably vague, but like, I don't need any more explanation. Like, I don't know what it means, but I also know what it means. In the same way that it's about God and Satan and both and nothing.
That's like a very desirable personality. Is the vague but super interesting like guy.
It's like, I'm not saying I want it, but it is desirable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I walk in the cold sun and wind. All these years cannot begin.
Yeah, man. Kim and Ben.
Kim is he's an interesting cat, man.
They are. Yeah, they really are. And like Chris, like, we know a lot more about him and his life for who he is, and Matt Cameron. We have him in like Pearl Jam and other stuff, but like Ben and Kim, like they're Soundgarden through and through.
They're some brilliant men, man.
Yeah, and they have this persona that made the band who they were. Every time I listen to Soundgarden, you just bounce back and forth. You listen to Alice in Chains, you go, this is the best band. They really did something totally different. And then you listen to Soundgarden, you're just like, how can I not put these guys at the top? Everything they did was so creative and craziness. Like, and I wish that I could have seen them live. That's what you get, a lot of really good live video from these guys. Super, it just looked like a blast every time. It looked like it'd be a workout. I mean, I would be like dead tired after it.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I'd love to like see like an MRI of Ben Shepherd's back, just to see like all of those years of playing the bass down at his ankles, like what impact that had on him. Because like you have him, and then you have Chris doing his stomp, and then Matt obviously drumming, which is like its own unbelievable type of workout. And then amongst it all, Kim is just standing there, and like the only part of him that's moving are his hands. Like, it's so cool.
Just statue, dude. He's using all of his energy on the guitar.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, just this is just a different way of saying what we've been saying for the last like 40 minutes. But you watch these guys, and like, they are on like a spiritual pursuit when they play. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's different with these guys, especially around that time. But even when you watch the video after they got back together in 2010, like, from 2010 to 2017, it was that same thing, and they were by that point, 25 years older than they were in the early 90s. And, it still worked, and like, they still had that fire. And that's why I really cannot wait for the unfinished Soundgarden album to be finished and to find its way, into our hands and into our ears. And Matt recently did an interview where he talked a little bit about his reasons for leaving Pearl Jam and kind of what he's doing now. And it does sound like they are actively working on the final Soundgarden album. I know they have for a while, and there's been a whole charade of legal disputes and everything that's far above our pay grade, to even discuss or offer opinions on. But I want that record, man. I really do.
Yeah, this is the fun anticipation for a grunge album that I don't think I've really experienced over the years. We haven't had many opportunities, but this, like, the promise of some Soundgarden work is really, really awesome. and it's going to be great. I mean, when did they start working on, like, are these some songs that date back like to the 90s, like some of this stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't think they date back to the 90s. If I remember correctly, they were working on it when Chris was kind of doing some of his solo tours, like in like 2015, 2016. And I think it was like between like 30 and 50% finished when he died. And like there was a legal battle over, who owned, the different elements of it and all of those things. But recently Matt said that it's halfway finished. So, I mean, you figure like putting everything together, because I don't know necessarily how much was there in terms of, Chris's parts, obviously, and like what the vocals were like, before he died. Because you can't go back and get more of that. So
I mean, halfway done could be like 4 songs are completely finished and we need to finish the other 4. Or halfway done is like, we've done tracking for all of them, but didn't get the final vocals. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And I think that even if anything that any Cornell, vocals and sound that can be used on the album is going to be, even if it's not, clean or however they mix it and whatnot, like if it wasn't exactly perfect, I think everybody's going to be excited because you're not going to get anything else like that. So
yeah, absolutely. And so Matt did an interview with Billboard last month, and he said there's not a set release day or anything. And they were kind of toying back and forth with maybe thinking about releasing some singles for it, but they decided that they want to make sure the whole thing is finished before they release any singles or anything. So, these guys, obviously, this is really, their last opportunity to work as Soundgarden with Chris Cornell. So, I want them to take all the time that they need and to be happy with it. Because, more so than like us getting it and us being happy with it, I'm sure it means so much to them to be able to work with it and complete their final project and be satisfied with it. They absolutely deserve that. And I'm sure whatever the band decides to do with it, I feel largely that Chris would be happy with it as well. It's in the best possible hands, being in Soundgarden's hands as opposed to, the estate's hands or anybody else's hands. So, so we'll see.
You can't put a release date on there because then people will be up in arms if it doesn't come to that time.
I'll tell you, dude, that is an album release episode that I'm excited for. We got to keep the podcast going as long as it takes to review the new Soundgarden record.
Hopefully it's not like Grand Theft Auto 6 or whatever everybody's waiting for.
Yeah, 2033, here we come.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be ready for when that drops, and we'll give our raw initial reaction, which is it always is hard to listen to it and like have to immediately talk about, like you see people respond and react to different songs or vocals for the first time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to get words out when you're like processing it all right away.
Mm-hmm. You just got to take it in.
I'm excited to be dumbfounded.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of experiences in general that we'll have with that one. So that'll be great. So, So on the 34th anniversary week of Badmotorfinger, it's definitely as good a time as ever to drop the needle and press play on this sucker. I know I'm going to be doing a lot of that this weekend. I think it pairs well with this weightlifting meet that I'm doing. So I'll be Badmotorfingering all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, overall, everyone knows, you guys know this album is spectacular front to back. Hopefully we just give you a good reminder to go and listen to it.
Yeah.
And to enjoy it as a piece of art. And that's pretty much it. We have a more extensive episode. We'd say 186, something like that.
Yeah.
So
you better believe it.
You can go listen to that. But that's it. That's what we got for today. That's what we've got.
So thanks for listening. Thanks for spending some time with us. Once again, thank you to our producer, Drew McFadden. Thank you, Ethan. And I believe we can leave you with some songs of the week. Ethan, is there one that's really front of mind for you? Yeah, you've got one.
I mean, I'm in the music zone recently.
Dude, I am too. I'm all over the place.
I'm all over the place. Like it is
percolating.
I'm percolating. Dude, I'm a playlist just populating songs.
Yeah,
and
my brain is very mossy right now.
Yeah. Like there's a ton of places I could go, people that I want to like shout out, like bands and stuff. And I think the only thing I really, there's so many things that have inspired me, but this one had really inspired me. And it's one of those pleasant surprises that you just don't know. And so I went to, playing drums, and I was listening to Eggy.
Yeah.
This jam band that's like friends with Goose and whatnot. And I thought I clicked on a playlist of theirs. It said Eggy, but it said Eggy's Bruce Picks. And so I clicked on it and I started, and I thought it was like, oh, it's with, Bruce Hornsby, who I know, but I didn't really listen to all that much.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought maybe it would be a collab with them, but it was just a song, Days Ahead by Bruce Hornsby and Danielle Haim featuring, and it was so good. And there actually wasn't I don't think there was a ton of drums, because I was going to play, but then there was nothing to really play. But it had this like Justin Vernon, who is the lead singer for Bon Iver and producer, and he actually has played with Hornsby. I did like some searching afterwards and looking at all the other songs, and yeah, Bon Iver has played with him. He has like a big Dave Matthews sound, and I did not know how funky, jazzy, and just amazing this man was. And he played with the Dead for a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
He is just like one of those musicians, and like I guess Eggy's a huge fan. They're actually playing with Brian on like 3 tour dates or 4 tour dates, and the last one will be Saturday the 4th. So I wish I could have saw that, and maybe I wouldn't have been able to make any shows, but I could have kicked around the idea. But
yeah.
But man, I am like blown away by this guy's, like, it's just incredible jams, just super dynamic and like hard to follow as far as like drumming. Like, it's just going crazy, but they know where they're at. Like the starts and stops and all the, just like they said, crazy jams, but really jazzy, good solos, and the dude's got a great voice. And I can't believe I didn't know about Brian Hornsby all that much before, but people are probably listening like, oh, he's a legend. And
yeah.
Here I go into the flood again, finding out my new favorite artist.
It all happens on its own time, dude.
Yeah, so the song is Days Ahead, and I want to put that on there. It's a great version.
Nice, dude. Did you send that one to me? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, that was, okay. Yeah, that was the one. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. I like that. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. You're up, man.
I am up. Ethan, I know I don't have to explain to you the concept when it relates to athletic events of loading. Like I know you're very well acquainted with. There's a state before a big athletic event where it's like, hey, like, how are you? Like, how are things going? Like, dude, I'm loading. So I'm currently loading. I'm definitely, I'm almost loaded, but I'm still loading. And for one reason or another, for the last like 4 or 5 years of my life, whenever I've had like an athletic pursuit, my favorite loading song is Soundgarden's cover of Helter Skelter by the Beatles, which they released on their Live on I-5 record. And for some reason, I don't know, like that one, it works perfectly for me when I am in that state of loading. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time with that one today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And come to think of it, like that's certainly one that is going to be listened to in the car on the way up to the competition on Sunday. So it's just, I mean, obviously it's infinitely better than the Beatles version of Helter Skelter. And it's just a lot of the things that we like about Badmotorfinger, with like just kind of like weird, sinister vibes, and then Kim coming in and, Chris doing what he does, everybody doing what they do in that band. It's just, it's a perfect cocktail for that state of mind. So that's going to be my song of the week. I'm
really excited. I've never listened to that, so I'm excited to. I'm surprised I haven't heard from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just typed in Helter Skelter, and there's I don't know if, like I said, all these bands are doing covers or if they have their own Helter Skelter, but there's a Government Mule version.
Dude, there's a Government Mule version. I see there's a U2 version. There's an Oasis version. Like
Motley Crue.
Motley Crue's got one too.
Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, dude. There's too many Helters and Skelters all over the place. Aerosmith even. Fuck.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. So that's interesting. I'm very excited to listen to the Soundgarden version. Next week we'll rank the top 10
Roger Daltrey from the Who's got one. Paul McCartney a solo. Oh man, yeah. There's a lot of them.
We'll rank them next week.
Itself. Yeah, episode 238, the gang, Helters and Skelters. So see what happens.
Awesome. Well, we got a big weekend ahead of us.
Yeah, we do.
And next week's a big week too. So if you're listening on a Monday, thank you so much for starting your week off right with the Grunge Bible podcast. We will be back next week with another episode, and big things coming, guys. Big things coming
soon. Major
things coming
announcement on
soon.
the way.
Yeah, exactly. Stay tuned.
Big things
Thank
going
you.
on behind the scenes right now.
Yeah, thank you so much. I challenge you, if you've never reviewed the show, I want you to leave a review. I want you to share your thoughts on this episode or another, and just let it rip, good or bad. We'll read it. So
tell us what you really think.
Yep. Here's your
Excellent.
shot.
This is it. You got to take it.
You get one shot.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Rock and roll. Stay heavy, people.
Rock and roll. Hansa.
Hanser.